I, the pure consciousness or the sense of self awareness, would manifest the words of truth and would manifest the words of wisdom through his finite mind and through his finite body. Blessings to be blessings to be on my listener, whether it's a herself or it's a himself. I, the pure consciousness, would manifest the words of truth and would manifest the words of wisdom. Blessings to be on my listener, whether it's a herself or it's a himself. Somebody inquired that they there was somebody who was very close to them. I hope you are following this topic or this inquiry. I basically have chosen this topic and this inquiry. I basically have chosen because it's one of the most sad and unfortunate thing that can happen to a loved one or to a family member or to a close friend or to somebody you know or to somebody you dearly um, love. Somebody inquired me a couple of days back, but as I said, no inquiry, as I mentioned that to you, no inquiry is less important or no inquiry is more important. All the inquiries basically have equal significance. So when I see one inquiry that can serve a rapid purpose, I bring it on. So here I am trying to give you rather a clear picture without any type of condemnation towards a particular action. Somebody a couple of days back, they asked that there was a close friend, somebody who was dearly loved by them, and a while back, unfortunately and sadly, they committed suicide. It means that from they ended through their will to end the carnation before even the nature or before even the cosmos is ready for them. Are you following what I'm saying to you? Before even the nature did not make the arrangements because their life was written maybe 10 years. Nobody knows how long one is going to live, but hypothetically, that maybe their life was another 15, 20 years more. Maybe their life was another 5 years more. Maybe their life was another 20 or 25 years more. But before that point, um, they before that point they ended before that point they ended the course of their carnation, meaning this lifetime, because maybe they were extremely depressed or anxious, um, or maybe they were extremely sad for any number of reasons, and in their mind, basically, in their mind, the pain was unbearable. Um, and they were in a state of despair and they were extremely sad. So they decided to end the course of this carnation, if you know what I mean. So they decided to end the course of one carnation because these feelings of being constantly sad or these feelings of being constantly depressed in a state of despair and totally hopeless in their mind, they thought that this is the only solution. In their mind they thought that this is the only correct solution, basically. And once they decide to end the carnation, which is one lifetime, the notch between the birth and the death, so before they were even reached to the knot of bodily demise with the course of nature, before they even were reached to the knot of bodily demise naturally or with the course of nature, they decided to end it before they even reach to that particular knot of bodily demise. And they thought this way all their problems, and my heart goes out to this person, their friend or their loved one, they thought that this way, if they end if they end the very course of carnation, this way all their problems or whatever they are suffering, all these problems basically would go away and would disappear. It all if we focus it also makes us believe that a person may be in a delusion, a person may be in a delusion that this is it. You see, that's why they think a person may be in a delusion that this is it. That's why they think that as soon as as soon as they end out of misery and out of pain and out of all those problems, that they are feeling overwhelmed, as they think as soon as they end this, which is an accumulation of everything including food, or this the mind which you wear all around you, however brain is the organ, they think this is it. They identify such people who think that if they end this, basically is going to be the end of misery, is going to be the end of pain, is going to be the end of hopelessness, is going to be the end of anything, and it is going to be the end of everything because they identify, if you pay attention what I'm saying to you, because they identify themselves that they are the mind and they are the body. However, the reality is very different. Now you understand, I have made a point. Most of the people, these poor people who get overwhelmed by sadness or depression or anxiety, all these things according to the point of view of mind, according to the point of view of modern human, so-called modern human, according to that all these things are the disorders. But what is disorder or the disorder of the soul? But if you look at the traditional wisdom, if you look at the wisdom traditions throughout the globe. If you look at the wisdom traditions, the Native American wisdom traditions, or the Indian wisdom tradition, or the Toltec wisdom tradition, if you look at these traditions, you realize basically what modern human recognizes as disorders or mental disorders in the traditional, in the ancient India, and through the ancient wisdom, we really realize this is how a modern human, or this is how a modern science recognize or acknowledge, through the perspective of the modern human, or through the perspective of modern mind, but through the perspective of reality and through the perspective of cosmos. It's not a disorder basically that can be treated through the medication solely. Are you following me? What I'm trying to tell you, let me tell you this. what I'm trying to what I'm trying to say here basically, that these, or people commit basically suicide because they become very overwhelmed by the circumstances around, either around them, or or the thought process within them. They are extremely scared. They are extremely sad. They have lost somebody. The sadness, the fear, the constant sadness, the depression, the anxiety. They are very anxious about their surroundings. They have been in a state like that. They become very overwhelmed by these things, and they become very hopeless, and they go in a state of despair, and they think that there is no further hope, and the thought of that, it's a, unfortunately and sadly, it's a very pessimistic mind frame, and they think if they finish this, everything would go away. But truth of the matter is, all these things which are recognized through the perspective, all these things which are recognized through the perspective of modern science, or through the perspective of modern human advancement, this is all karma. You understand that? This is all karma, the residue of all the previous lifetimes that one has lived. I want you to understand that. The residue from all the previous lifetime one has lived. All these things which are recognized by modern science as disorder, and science is still struggling, the modern science, the evolved science, whatever we want to call it, the science basically is still struggling and trying to explain and trying to do further advancement and trying to make further progress to overcome on these disorders basically, and there is no 100% success, because the premise because the premise, uh, I'm not entirely saying it's wrong or right, it's not my place basically, but the premise to do something about it is not fully compre is not based on a full comprehension. They are still trying to figure out why certain things happen. They come up with different reasons. They come up with the reason that there is a chemical imbalance in the brain. They come up with the reasons that it can be genetic. But if you ask these doctors, and if you ask these psychiatrists, that basically, can you tell me for certain? Can you tell me for certain what that is? You are telling me could be a combination of anything. I can probably come to this conclusion by my own awareness, you see, but they would never give you a concrete answer that this is a solid concrete answer, and hence that's why this disease or this disorder basically is clinging with you. if you understand what I'm saying. They would not give you answer, because science, with all this advancement and everything, which is a brilliant thing, I'm not trying to downplay the advancement of modern science, but I'm just saying that they cannot give you, because the premise, they are still struggling with the premise of these disorders, if you understand what I'm saying to you. So what happens? What happens is all the residue from previous lifetimes that one has lived, what the modern science basically acknowledges as the disease of the brain or the disease of the mind. What is mind, first of all? The mind, you can wear your mind. Your mind exists on numerous levels. You wear your mind around yourself. If you understand what I'm saying to you, you wear your mind around you. Mind exists on numerous levels. Brain, yes, brain is an organ. That is for sure. Brain, your brain is an organ, which is right here. But your mind exists on numerous levels. Every DNA in you has a certain memory. That's why when you eat, if somebody, for example, hypothetically speaking, every DNA in you, it has the memory of intense memory, if you understand. And then there are layers over your body which cannot be seen through naked eye. A person wears that all the time. That's how our thoughts basically are entangled with each other. Remember, I give you a metaphor of the rubber band ball. If you remember, that is the best metaphor. That is the best metaphor, basically, that I give you to demonstrate how our thoughts are entangled. I give you the metaphor of a rubber band ball. That rubber bands are overlapped with each other. Rubber bands are entangled with each other. That's how all our thoughts and our mind are entangled. When you go in a profound state of samadhi and meditation, you realize that you can see that I can see that. It takes a tremendous amount of focus. Anyway, so this is all karma. What modern science acknowledges as the disorders of the mind or the disorder of the brain, basically, it is all karma. The all the all whatever has imprinted is whatever has imprinted on the soul, um, or the Atman, or what we understand as self, the whatever is imprinted during all the lifetimes we have lived can give birth to these type of things that modern science or the modern doctors realize as the mental disorders. However, having said that, when somebody end the carnation, uh, one lifetime before they even reached through the natural process to the bodily demise, if they decided to end that, thinking that this is me and all the problems, all these type of, unfortunately and sadly, all these situations would go away. But it is just like that suppose you are feeling extremely cold. I'm basically trying to make you understand through an example that what it is like committing suicide, and think all the problems and all these things that they got overwhelmed from would go away. uh, it's karma. It wouldn't go away. It's imprinted. You have yet the opportunity while you are in the body that you can do something about it. That's why in wisdom traditions and the traditions from ancient India, we say never quit. and you can see basically the topic of this retreat. That's why we say in ancient India and in the wisdom traditions, never quit, never take your life, because it's not going to, not only it is going to change anything, it is not going to change anything, it's going to make the situation far worse than you already were. That's why I'm trying to make you understand through an example. It's just like that you are feeling cold a lot, and you take your jacket off and you take all your clothes off. What's going to happen? I'm trying to make you understand through this example. You don't have to give me the answer, but imagine if you are feeling extremely cold and you take your jacket off and you take all the clothes off. You see what happens? The cold that you were feeling basically would intensify many, many times, far intense, you see. So when some poor person, we are not here to condemn somebody's action, you see, because judgment and condemnation is not going to solve anything. Thumping books and terrifying people is not going to solve anything, because what is being missed is the awareness. You understand? The awareness of an action. That why it is significant and dire, why it is significant and dire to not quit or to not give up. Why? You see, we are looking at the reasons. If you go to, like religions would condemn, they will scare you with the hellfire, they would tell you about the hell, and they would thumb books. It doesn't matter what religion, nor I am here. I always tell you that nor I am here to condemn or refute a religion, but religion does not give you rather a detailed picture. And the person who is also going through with the despair and feeling overwhelmed and thinking to commit suicide may not believe in the religion. Person may be an atheist. Person may think that this is it. That's why it is very person may think this is it. That's why it is very, very significant. That's why it is extremely significant to look profoundly that if one action, if in the even in the wisdom traditions, the rishis and the yogis are telling you never quit, what is the reason, real reason behind it? That's why wisdom has the answer. So it's what modern science understand as mental disorders are really, this is through the perspective of modern science, but through the perspective of cosmos and through the perspective of reality, this is the karma which has been imprinted through all the lifetimes that you have lived. So if you um, decide to kill the accumulation, which is the body, this body is the accumulation. This body is the accumulation of food. This body is the accumulation of climate. This body is the accumulation of the body it came in contact with uh, for a small and long period of time, such as a spouse, partners, lovers, whatever you want to call it. Uh, this body is also the accumulation of the weather. This body is also the accumulation of the humans around us. It is borrowed from the earth. Why it was borrowed from the earth? Because yet you have a chance while in the body to do something about the very karma you thought is going to end if you end the accumulation. Now you understand more. So you thought that if you end the accumulation, it's ironic actually that you came here to shed the very karma, and the source or the way basically you were going to shed the very karma, the accumulation, you destroyed the very accumulation. When you destroyed, when you destroyed the very accumulation, it does not mean karma is gonna go anywhere. It was the accumulation, the body through which you could do something about the karma. It is very possible to change your karma. There is always hope. But the thing is, if awareness is missing in the entire situation, if awareness is missing in the entire process, if people are being condemned or they are being condemned by some, if people are being terrified or are being threatened by thumping books, but not giving them the real awareness, not looking, cut the branches does not take care of the disease which is in the root, you see. So that would not solve anything. You see, awareness, as I said, is missing. And what I'm doing right now, basically, I'm trying to show you another perspective. I never ask you to believe what I tell you. I never ask you to disbelieve. I always ask you to remain open. If it has shred of truth in it, if it has any truth in it, it would resonate through you. It would be only natural that it would resonate through you. So do not believe or do not disbelieve. Just remain open. Awareness is something which is missing in the entire process. If it makes sense to you, you would say, yeah, it only makes sense. You see, and what I'm doing, what my basically job here is to bring the very awareness and clear your perception that why it is strictly all the wisdom traditions and the yogis and the rishis from India, they tell never quit, because quit is not going to solve anything. You took your jacket off, you took your clothes off, here you are. The cold you were feeling before is going to intensify far way worse. So when somebody, the poor person, overwhelmed by a situation, by a disorder, that the person goes in a mind frame of hopelessness. The person goes in, unfortunately, in a mind frame, what the word I'm looking for, in despair, and the person says there remains no hope. Even then, no matter how difficult that is, yet you have a chance to change the karma. You see, and that it can only be changed if you do not quit, if you keep going. You can emotionally detach yourself from the present circumstances, and then you can emotionally detach yourself from the present circumstances, and you can take a good look basically at the situation, what can be done in these circumstances, not what could I could have done or what I would have done. These things would take you again back where you would realize where there is zero hope. You see, these things would take you back to that state. We don't want that state for you. We are bringing clarity, and we are enforcing, or we are stressing basically. We are enforcing and we are stressing on the fact that yet you can change your karma, because this very accumulation you took, because so you can get rid of the karma. You see, off the karma. There is no good or bad karma. If there is good karma, good result, people would call it good karma. If there is karma which keeps you restless and which makes you sad, people would call it bad karma. Karma is just karma. You see, don't look at karma through the perspective of good or bad. Just karma, and you are here to shed karma. When you shed karma, you would find happiness, you see. But karma can only be shed through the body, Because through the body you relate to the physicality. You see, through the body you relate to the present circumstances. Through the body you relate to the barriers. Through the body you relate to the resistance. These resistance, these barriers, these all these resistance and barriers are there, so you can make the extremely good choice based on the given circumstances, if you understand. So that's why yet you have a choice to shed the karma and process the karma. And once you process your karma, um, it or once you change this karma, it is very possible. And how you do it? You change the karma by creating sufficient distance between what you essentially are and what your mind is. Are you following what I'm saying to you? You can change the karma by creating sufficient distance between what you essentially are and what your mind is. You are the silent. You see silent? Shh. This is silent. You are the silent witness. You are the silent observer of your mind. You see, you are become interested in, not in the thought itself. You see, the problem starts when you become interested in the thought and the content of it. You are not interested in, no matter what thought is, you are not interested in the thought or the content of the thought. You are interested in the one who knows the thought. You are interested in the one who is witnessing the change of thought. You see, you are interested in that. Once you get there, meditate on it. Bring awareness in yourself. Once you tap on that, meditate on it. Realize that state. It would give you strength. It would give you hope. You see, so do not give up. And as this person, the poor person, their loved one committed suicide, and they asked me if they would be punished. It's not the matter of punishment. You understand? I have given you that awareness. I have given you that full awareness. It's not the matter of punishment. It is not the matter of morality. It is not the matter of religion. If it is not the matter of reward. You don't, why do you think everything is happening because of punishment and reward? You see, it's a very narrow way. It's, remember we talk about the narrow band, that it's a very narrow band, and it's a very narrow way to look at things. The broad band and the broad band and the broad way to look at things are, once you see that what's happening really. If God forbid me, somebody in a state of despair, no, they would not be punished. Basically, punishment and reward basically goes to the religion, which wouldn't show you the correct or clear picture. If you want to ever see the clear picture, bring awareness in yourself. No, they would not be punished. But what would happen, as I have told you, that, and they had an opportunity while they were in the body. You see, my heart goes out for them, and I would send them some meditation strength, some energy to move on to the light. But what happens is basically such a person has become lost for an unknown period of time. You know what I mean? Because the very karma, they yet had the opportunity through the body and through the mind to shed the karma, but that they stopped. You see what I'm saying to you? Pay attention, please pay focus. They stopped the very process through their own hands and through their own will. What happens? The very karma remains intact. They were trying to get rid of, and they were thinking, once I end this, is gonna end, because they thought they were their mind and body. They didn't know life in any other way. That's why meditation is important, because it breaks the barriers for you to know life in other ways too, just not this way. You see what I mean? That's why yoga and meditation is important. Now you understand, everything is making sense to you. And the reason it is making sense, because I brought the awareness of what's really happening. So the very karma is still intact. But now the problem is, Before, at least, they had the luxury of the mind, but now that luxury of the mind is gone. When you are in a troublesome situation, when you are in a conflict in your mind, you have the luxury to reason and come out of that prop or the conflict in your mind. If some thought is making you restless, if some thought is making if some thought is making you restless, if some thought is making you depressed, if some thought is making you sad, it's all thought, isn't it? It's all memory. If things like that are doing that to you, you have the luxury of the mind while you are in the body, that you can reason it, you can fight it, and you can reason through the mind, you see. But once somebody decides to end this accumulation, they don't have the luxury of the mind. So that position of the despair, of course, when somebody, God forbid me, they are trying to end this accumulation, they are not in a very pleasant mood. Have you heard anybody committing suicide in the extreme state of happiness or joy until unless they were on drugs? No. It's not possible. Nobody in their right mind, and if they are sober, nobody commits such an act if they were happy and joyful and in a state of bliss. It's even foolish to think like that. The person who does that, the time when they are committing the action, they are in a state of extreme hopelessness. They are in a state of extreme emotional pain, spiritual pain. So what happens is once this accumulation is shed, there is no reasoning mind now. So whatever that situation, the state of hopelessness or the state of sadness or depression, it basically intensifies and multiplies. You see, it's pure energy now. You see, once this is done, now it's pure energy. And the pure energy would go on a, the pure energy would intensify, the pure energy would become, it's just like a snowball. You see, you can start a small snowball like this, and you just keep rolling the snowball on the snow as it is roll at excuse me as it rolls, it gets bigger and bigger. In a very small period of time it gets really big. Just like that, this energy, mostly not very pleasant energy. You see what I'm saying? That's the sad part. So that's why this energy amplifies. That's why this energy amplifies. The sadness amplifies. The depression amplifies. The fear amplifies. You cannot reason. One cannot reason now. It would just amplify without any barriers. You see the barriers? Barrier is the stop. Barrier, you see the word barrier? Barrier is the stop. It put a stop. It's a barrier. It's a boundary, which is a resistance. Here there is no barriers. Now the barriers have been lifted. If you understand what I'm saying, now the barriers have been lifted. So it would just amplify. And it has to now be in a state of limbo, mean, meaning the person is in the state of limbo, meaning the cosmos is not ready yet for such a person. It's a very sad situation. That's why in wisdom traditions, the sannyasis, the yogis, the rishis, the meditators, not only from India or ancient India, but in other wisdom traditions, they tell you never quit. You see, now you understand while I have brought the awareness that what happens. It's not the matter of punishment. No, your loved one or whoever the poor person was would not be punished. But this is the punishment itself in a way because cosmos is still not ready. You see, for instance, this person had, Cosmos had the plan to receive this person, maybe not for another 20 years. You see, the year you realize, now please pay attention what I'm saying to you. This is very important for you to realize. The year you realize while you are in the human form, the year you realize while you are in the human form, and the year you realize while you are not in the human form but energy form, may vary, and I'm sure it does, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. I'm telling you the truth because I have the awareness of both. You understand? I have the awareness of both through my experience. Through the experience of profound samadhi and meditation, I have the awareness of both. That year or that period of time while you are in energy can be longer than the year you experience while you are in the body. So this type of Atman, this type of self, this type of soul would would linger because cosmos has no plans for this. You see, that's why people witness ghost. You see the intensity of the sadness, the depression, whatever the situation intensified. The more intense it is, the more it would manifest in form of ghost. It is lost because cosmos now does not have no cosmos is not ready because another 20 years were written, you see, in fate. You see, whatever the word you want to say, and other 20 years were written in fate or whatever, but the cosmos is not ready for another 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, even longer than that. It's a very, very long period. Please remember that what I'm saying to you is very significant and dire for you to realize. It's very long period, specifically if one is in that state. Every moment, every second, every moment in that state is a burden. You see, it feels like eternity. That's why bring the awareness to people. You see, do not thumb books, do not just say that this would happen, hellfire, this and that, or punishment. Bring awareness to people. You see, do not pursue with what you believe, do not pose what you believe, do not press on people what you believe. Bring clarity, bring awareness. If you are wise, if you know the truth, then you would speak. You know what I mean? You would speak and you would bring clarity. Clarity and awareness would clarity and awareness would give you more rather much clearer picture than an individual would be in a position to understand more. You see, if you just say that you would burn in hell and you would burn in hell for eternity, the person may not even believe what religion you follow or whatever the teachings of that religion. The person can be atheist. But when you bring the awareness, it works for both, whether the person is a person of belief or the person is atheist. You see, when you when you bring the awareness, it it basically work for both scenarios. You see the beauty of awareness, you see the beauty of clarity. When you bring the awareness, whether it's a person of belief or if it is a person of disbelief, mean the person does not even believe in anything, you see. But when you tell them, look, you are essentially made out of energy, you see, even an atheist cannot deny that until unless unfortunately the atheist is struggling with an average even human intellect. I'm not saying with any judgment or arrogance, but yeah, not everybody is on the same level of intellect, isn't it? God has the nature, the cosmos has given us the mind for a reason. It's okay to use it sometime. Okay, you cannot just close your eyes and blindly say that this is my mind and this is my body and this is basically me. You cannot just say that. You need to look at the evidence of what you are believing. If you cannot look at the evidence of what you have believed or what you, then the process of your evolution has stopped. Then you cannot make the process, and the process of evolution is eternity. It has no boundaries. You see, it's limitless. You see, just like cosmos is limitless. Cosmos is limitless. Yeah. Anyway, so this is what happens. You see, even an atheist, you tell that person, look, you are made out of energy, essentially. Not only you tell that person, it's a given, because energy is forming shapes and form, is the manifestation of the fundamental source of creation. Energy is the manifestation of the fundamental source of creation. You see, you are made out of energy. Energy is manifesting in forms and shape. You destroy, you see, by any means, you hypothetically, for example, I'm saying, if you destroy the manifestation, what happens to the energy? Where does energy go? It's energy. It can change form. It's not going to disappear, even through the point of view of science. Even through the point of view of physics. Look what you are doing. You see, or metaphysics. Look, even through the perspective of that, energy never dies. Energy always is, and excuse me, energy always is, and energy always remains. It can change form. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to disappear into nothing. No, it remains. And this energy carries tendencies of all the lifetimes. This energy carries tendencies, or the tendencies that the karma, tendencies that the traits for all the lifetimes that you have lived. If you destroy the manifestation, as I said hypothetically, if one destroys the manifestation, if one thinks that by destroying the manifestation, I can be free from all the misery and whatever I'm going through. No, basically, misery is not in the manifestation. Please remember that. You can never be free if you think like that. Misery is not in the manifestation, yet, manifestation is a way that you can do something about the very misery. But if you kill the very source through which you were going to get rid of the misery and change your karma, it would remain intact, and it would amplify, it would intensify. Shh, yeah, shh. It would amplify and it would intensify, if you understand what I'm saying to you. It wouldn't go anywhere. And then it's a very, of course, it's a very, the process of being in that situation, every moment seems eternity. You see, it's a very painful process, because one realizes, oh, I still exist. When that happens, when the accumulation or the manifestation is destroyed, but one says, I still exist. And what's happening now is all the things one thought one can get rid of are still there. I have given you the awareness. I have told you. It's not the matter of reward and punishment. However, this is what happens. It's energy. Energy never dies, it changes forms. You understand? It would just change form. The problem, the karma is not imprinted on the manifestation. The karma is not imprinted on the accumulation, is imprinted on Atman. Atman, energy, self, uh, the part of energy. You see, it's imprinted on that. That never goes anywhere. It goes wherever we go. It never leaves us. You see, we does not again mean the accumulation. We does not again mean the mind either. We is more profound and more deep than that. Wherever we go, it would go. I have explained now that the person is not being punished, but this is what happens. If you look through the perspective of an average person, the perspective of an average person would tell you that yes, it sounds like punishment. It seems like punishment. But nobody is punishing. It's the person who had made a choice, is the one who had made the choice living in an illusion that this body and mind is me. But in reality, what is the person, the Atman, it carries on. So the best thing is to not quit. Whatever the circumstances are, please remember. I always tell you, remember the word remember. Please remember the word remember, that yet while we are in this body, and yet while we have the luxury of mind, and when yet while we are in this body, we have a hope, we have an opportunity, and we have hope to do and change the karma. It is very possible to change the karma. And the karma can only be changed. Please remember what I'm saying to you. Karma can only be changed while you are still in the body. After that, it's an unknown period of, it literally is an unknown period of waiting time, that how long it would take again for one to get to acquire another body, you see. And the circumstances may be very similar to the one which led a poor person to commit suicide, because through those circumstances person yet has to shed karma. I have explained that in such a way that I have not missed anything. If you have even any questions about, if you are still uh, in a state of confusion, please write me. Okay, feel free to write me, feel free to comment. I always encourage you to write me, and I even encourage critic if something, uh, if you want to clarify something. You see, all we gotta do to each other, be respectful and ask questions. It is very possible to still remain respectful and ask questions with each other. That way, we can get through each other. So you understand now. This I have given you, that why it is significant not to quit. Because if you don't quit, you remain in the human form, yet you have the chance to do something about the karma. Simple things. Simple things can basically help you. Simple practices can help you to bring simple things, and simple practices can help you. Simple meditation can help you to create a distance from your raging thoughts and you what you essentially are. Simple meditation techniques can help you to basically create a distance between your raging thoughts and what you essentially are. Sometimes you sit like this. You you become the witness of changing thoughts. You see, when you sit like this, what happens? When you sit like this, what happens? You sit attentive, no matter, you tell yourself that I am not interested. You tell yourself, I am not interested in the content of the thought. The content of the thought is not necessary. Thought is made out of everything that I know. Thought is totally made out of only the knowing of it. If you understand what I'm telling you, thought is made out of the knowing of it. If there is no knowing, there is no thought. Is that a correct statement or it's a false statement? Please follow my words, what I'm saying to you and what I'm asking you. Thought is made out of the knowing of it. You understand what I'm saying to you? If there is no knowing of the thought, there is no thought. Is that correct or is not correct? You know that there is a thought because you just simply know. You see? So do not become interested in the content of the thought when you come or you have intention to go in a state of meditation. You see, when you have intention to go in a state of meditation, do not, and I repeat again, do not feel concern with the content of the thought. You sit attentive just as I am sitting. And of course, this is a very traditional spiritual yogi dress. You don't have to acquire that. You can just be um, comfortable. So your body would not require more attention because it's the moment of silence. So you basically sit silent and you look straight and you sit attentive, you sit silent, you look straight, you would realize numerous thoughts now. What you are experiencing right now, what you are experiencing is your mind. When you sit straight and you are comfortable, your eyes are open, you are in a silence mode. What you are experiencing right at this moment is your mind. Mind is nothing but the thoughts. Thoughts are coming. You are not interested in the content of the thought. Are you following me? You are not interested in the content of the thought. You are the silent. You see? Shh. You are the silent seer, or spectator, observer, whatever you want to call it, of the very thought, of the change in thought.